Warning: the following content contains materials that may not be suitable for younger audiences or adults who take things way too seriously. So I'm calling to your pearls, Karen. This is more telling on you than me. Huh. Guess people prefer the more scripted content, huh? Well, that's fair. I think that type of content worked better for me anyway. Well, then what should I do next? Oh, right. Well, that's all set. Time for Cult, baby! Cult of the Lamb is an indie roguelike dash base builder released on August 11th of last year by Devolver and Massive Monsters. To a very, and I mean a very hyped player base. So, I guess you could say it got a pretty active cult following. Okay. The game follows this cute little lamb named, hang on a second, let me just Lamb, but who, after a very near-death experience, is resurrected by a god of death to free them from their prison by killing the same godlike beings who imprisoned him in the first place. So, in order to repay your debt, you must now not only venture on to slay these very beings, but also must now create a cult in the name of the one who waits. So, as already stated, this game is a roguelike dash base builder, meaning while you can travel the lands to complete your given objectives, you also have to balance that with maintaining your cult, aka your base. And trust me, you do not want to slack on your cult! Your cult is generally run by your cultists, as they will do things like farming, cooking, cleaning, and praying to your everlasting and eternal glory. The former three is mostly just to keep the other cultists up and running. The latter, however, is used to generate points for divine inspiration, in which you can use to upgrade your base in order to make it more autonomous and to help you in battle. So having these guys behind you is kinda important. So of course the game is going to make it harder to do that. In the corner of your screen there are 3 gauges: faith, hunger, and disease. Faith will decrease if you're not taking care of your cult, not giving them proper sleeping arrangements, or sucking too hard. This will cause cultists to start to protest. While protesting, they won't work, can cause others to detest you, and if not remedied in a certain amount of time, they will leave. This can be fixed by either imprisoning the cultists and re-educating them, or by getting your hands dirty a little and just sacrificing them. However, both options need to be unlocked, which kinda sucks. So be prepared to lose a few in the beginning. You can, however, keep faith up by giving daily sermons, giving little gifts to your cultists, completing tasks for your cultists, and by performing rituals, which I'll get to a little later. However, if the hunger and disease gets too low, your cultists will just start to die. Hunger decreases if your cultists aren't fed, and disease if you don't keep your place clean of shit and dead bodies. The only way to fix these is to feed them by cooking for them, or getting someone else to cook, and getting them to stay in bed and curing them at the sick bay. However, as they say, death is inevitable, and your cultists will die after a few weeks, after growing old, meaning their lifespan is only slightly longer than your average housefly. In their final days, these cultists won't work, and whether or not you sacrifice them is completely up to you. However, later in the game you can make it so they increase your faith, but again, that's your call to make. But after a cultist dies, you now have different things to worry about, like what to do with the body. As if you leave it, as I said before, it can make your other cultists sick. So you will either have to A, bury the body, which over time will take up a lot of space, or B, cannibalize the body and feed it to your other cultists, which has a high chance of getting them sick. If you need more cultists, don't you worry, as there are multiple ways to get more. However, it usually means getting out there and into the dungeons to find them. The first is by simply rescuing them. While out and about, you might come across little animals about to be sacrificed by enemies. And once you simply kill them all, you can rescue them and bring them back home to join your cult. The second way, which can be accomplished at home too, is by buying them off of this super friendly spider guy, who is super nice and definitely not creepy at all. Look, he's even giving you a good deal, isn't that nice? So might not be a bad idea to keep an eye out for him on your adventures. You never know when you need more friends. Third way is by taking missions from your cultists, as sometimes you'll get a request from your cultists to take in more members who have arrived. However, these guys will most likely come in a bad mood or not be in the best condition, so it's recommended to have facilities up and running before doing this. And the final and by far the easiest way is by simply talking to them. You might find some crying about how bad life is or whatever, and if you answer their questions correctly, they'll join you. No ifs or buts about it. When these new cultists arrive, you'll have the option of customizing them with new skins and giving them new names. The one thing you can't customize about them are their traits. These are randomized and will affect how they'll work and how faithful of a follower they are, so it's not a bad idea to look that over when you get them. Like I said earlier, if you treat your cult right, they'll manage the base for you. But if you really want to ensure their eternal loyalty to you, you can give them gifts and interact with them in other ways. While giving gifts can increase their loyalty, giving them necklaces can also give them specific buffs, like making it so they don't need to sleep or making them work harder. And once their loyalty is maxed, you can collect it in the form of divine inspiration. As you get divine inspirations, you can unlock more buildings and upgrade your shrine. This can allow you to upgrade your buildings more, which can make things more efficient, like giving you more space, making buildings and structures last longer, and allow your cultists to stop being lazy leeches and actually contribute to the God's divine mission. However, no matter how automated your base will be, note that you'll still need to put in resources from time to time. So it's always a good idea to check up on things. You can also unlock decorations which you can use to, well, decorate. Hey, is it really a sweet cult if it doesn't at least look nice? Well, this is my base. Come in, you got like the general sleeping area, you got food over here. This is my graveyard. Oh yeah, it's probably that. Farms over here. Poop down here, so no one poops. Cleaning station. And you're the Crips. Gonna move all those bodies here. Missionary. And here's my prisons. Right next to my statues. So my trophies. Why are my trophies so close? It's so they remember who they're messing with. The final and most important part of your base is your church. Here, you can lecture your followers and actually upgrade yourself for when you do go out into that cold, cruel world. Here, you give lectures, perform rituals, create doctrines, and buy new cloaks. 'Cause hey, it's Fashion Week, baby! Lectures are pretty short and sweet. Talk about your glory to the masses, and in return, get more faith, allowing you to increase your power, which will make you much stronger in battle. However, these can only be used once per day, so beware of that and maybe plan around it if you know you're about to do something that won't make them happy. Rituals are more complex, as they allow you to do things that can benefit you, like create faith, make more food, or get everyone high so you can do whatever the heck you want. And no, I am not kidding, and it's the best thing ever. However, depending on the doctrines you put in place and the rituals you do, it can affect your faith, so you might want to get strategic about it. While out and about, you might find these stone fragments. These are testaments of the old faith. Collecting 3 will allow you to create a doctrine. Doctrines will do one of two things. Either increase faith based on conditions of your cult, or grant you access to new rituals. When you do, you'll be given the choice of 2 possible doctrines, like go vegan or be cannibalistic, better fishing or more crops, or kiss or kill. Once you do make the choice, you can't change it, or grab the other option until much later. So this is definitely where you want to be strategic and pick the doctrine that fits your playstyle and how you want to play the game. Then there are the power-ups. These are a little more on the nose when buying upgrades. As you go along, you'll get hearts of bishops and parts of these emblems from completing various quests. The hearts give you powers like returning home whenever you want, and absorbing followers for a second life. Don't worry, as with these you don't need to worry about being picky-choosy, as there are only 4 of them and 4 bishops. So you can get them whenever, so just pick the ones you need at the moment, and you should be fine. You can also get cloaks here, which are more meh? Well, yeah, you can use them to help in combat while making yourself look absolutely fabulous while doing so. They are usually not worth it in the long run, in my humble opinion at least, as they give you one good thing and one bad thing. Like, you deal more damage, but you'll take more damage. Or you're handed 4 tarot cards, but you can't pick up any more. So I haven't really dealt with them and really just went in with the standard cloak. Of course, this isn't really a con for me. Yeah, I get the appeal, but I'd rather just take the risk and hopefully make it out with like 8 cards or get good weapons and do mostly fine. And really, in my opinion, that's when the game is the most fun. When you have that one good run when everything just goes well. Like once I managed to get like 8 hearts because somehow kept running into this cursed looking tree which kept giving me the diseased hearts. Plus I had the double healing tarot card, which means those 2 hearts turned into 4. But yeah, sometimes you might get a bad run and sometimes something is better than nothing. So really this is another issue of to each their own. Once you have your affairs in order back home, you can finally get into the meat of the game. The dungeons, in which there are 4 areas to explore. The Dark Woods, Anora, Anchor Deep, and the Silk Cradle. Each has different enemies, resources, and different bosses. And you can unlock each one in that order. Once you've entered that area, you can't go back until you beat it, so keep that in mind before diving in. Once you go in, you are given a random weapon and curse, each with their own playstyles and abilities. Starting with the weapons, there are 5 main types: daggers, swords, gauntlets, axes, and hammers. In that order, from weakest to strongest, or fastest to slowest, with each having a different heavy attack. So again, consider your playstyle. I personally prefer the axes, but if your current weapon isn't up to your speed, don't worry, you'll have opportunities to switch them out. This also goes for curses, which are your long-range option that uses fervor, which is in the upper right-hand corner here. Then, once you go into the next room, it's go time, and typically each room is filled with enemies. And you can't move on to the next one until you've cleared them out. The Y button is to use your weapon, X is for your curse, and B is to dodge roll. And well, no, in most cases, dodging won't give you any special ability like in Bayonetta. It will still help and make you at least feel somewhat more fabulous while doing it. Your health is below the fervor gauge, and 1 hit by enemies is half a heart gone. And if you run out of those, it's game over. You know, pretty standard video game stuff. You can heal with hearts, but there are also blue hearts, which are temporary and can't be healed, and cursed hearts, which are like blue hearts, but will also damage every enemy on screen when hit. Also, hearts are not easily obtained, so if you are low, break see. And I mean everything. If it's not in the background, you could probably destroy it. Once you finish massacring everyone and everything in a room, you will be given chests with fervor, gold, and other items to help you in your run, and allow you to continue on in a randomly generated area. However, each room can and will be different, as you can have encounters with different characters and one of 3 supplier siblings, Klonnek, Kudai, and Checkmak. Checkmak is the most recent addition and will give you one of many relics. These all have different effects which can be activated with the L button, and a cooldown which can vary from item to item, and does so by slaying the non-believers. Or breaking locks too, apparently. Which means they must be filthy heretics too and must be burned! These effects can range from restoring hearts, shooting things, to summoning a giant tentacle. And yes, I wish I was making this up. Some relics can be fragile, meaning they only have one use. However, these effects can stack, so if you're really lucky, you can get a few in a row on your run, then go in with an army. And may your enemies be at peace with their adorable god. These can be unlocked by many means, like rooting around in the grass, to fishing them up. So look everywhere if you want more of a selection, and for that sweet 100%. Kudai is your man for when you want to switch out weapons. And yeah, each weapon type plays pretty much the same to each other. Each weapon has a different level in effect, like poisoning and freezing, and higher levels means more damage. So it's always a pretty good idea to compare and contrast to see if there's something better. However, beware, as he still may not have exactly what you need. So even if you're more comfortable with a hammer, you may just have to stick with the dagger you got or settle with a sword or axe instead. Last, and for Lord's sake, definitely not least, is Klonnek. Klonnek is your man for tarot cards, and for sure you don't want to go without those, as each card has a different power-up. No cons, no shady business, just good old-fashioned buffs to make your life easier, like resistances and making your dodge rolls into sonic spin attacks. You can find tarot cards in the occasional chest, but for glory's sake, Klonnek is by far the easiest way to get them. When you find and talk to him, he will give you the option to draw one of 2 cards. Pick the one you need the most, and if you're not happy with the selection, you can pay extra for another reading once per run. Sometimes the cards will be glowing rainbows or some shit. This card is a better version, so it might not be a bad idea to pick it. And there is no limit on how many you can have. I had a run with like 8 of these things. 8! You may be God, but by God, this man might as well be your God, you ungrateful piece of shit! Anyway, if you have trouble finding these guys or don't want any trouble, don't worry too much, as they will make it obvious where they are, mostly by hanging swords or stars or some shit above the way which they're located. Or if you have the telescope tarot card, you'll be able to find them by simply looking on the map. Basically, finding them is pretty much a non-issue. Once you finish an area, you are given another chest and are allowed to the gridded map. Here, you can choose your route to different areas where you can gather more resources for your cult, buy things like resources and other cultists, heal, and encounter different NPCs, which I'll get to soon. However, once you pick a place to go, you can't go back or go a different route. So plan your route and plan it well, because once you get to the end, it's boss time, baby! Well, almost. The last area will be another dungeon, which will give you another chance to prepare. Because at the end of it, there will be a boss, which will usually be a powered up enemy. However, after going in a certain number of times, it will be one of the area's bishop. Or if you beat the area's bishop already, it will be a witness. Slaying these enemies, however, can sometimes get you another cultist. And later in the game, you can have the option to keep going. And while continuing can get you more resources while maintaining your current build, it might be a good idea to return to your cult, as time does not stop for them when you leave, and a lot can happen when you're gone. Like I said, these guys have the life expectancy of a freaking housefly. See you then. You can check up on any of the NPCs you may have met, as every once in a while they'll give you a location on the map where they'll give you side quests like fishing, giving them items, sometimes your cultists, or just play Yahtzee with your grandfather and his friends, because my god, he's done a lot for you, and the least you can do is give him some of your time. In exchange, they'll give you pieces of emblems for fleeces, tarot cards for you to pull from Klondike, and oh, the drug ritual. However, once in a new area, you can also buy stuff off their guys, like decorations, more forms to your followers, and more tarot cards. And boy, are these guys just so vibrant. Each character is wildly different from the last and are just so enjoyable in their own little special way. You have the mushroom-loving Sojo, aka your drug ritual buddy, the fisherman, who's definitely just a human guy, nothing to see here, and my favorite, Plimbo, who's just always complaining about his mother-in-law. This guy just never fails to put a smile on my face. Like, the moment I came into his area, it's just, pure serotonin. So, yeah, all in all, I would definitely recommend this game. The characters are fun and quirky, and the gameplay is exciting and compelling. The concept of a base building and roguelike may seem strange, but together they add a really nice challenge. In fact, a lot of the aspects of this game are very strategic, from the layout of your base to the loadout in a dungeon. Plus, the art style is just really nice, and threads the fine line of peacefully relaxing and horrifically dark. Yeah, you can cheese the system a little bit, but unlike in most games, the cheesability here has more to do with luck rather than use this item to win, which honestly makes hearing about people cheesing the game a bit more fun. Plus, there are a few bugs, but it's a small indie game. If you can't handle it at its worst, then how can you appreciate it at its best? However, this game isn't without its flaws. Yeah, the game is fun, but after the main story, there isn't really much in the terms of post-game. Like I said, it was very fun and definitely good for this Halloween season, but after I beat the game, there wasn't much else to do. Sure, I could have finished up the other side quests and gone for 100%, or just went through the dungeons for the heck of it. But there really wasn't much of a point, as I really did not care about the cloaks. And besides, there really wasn't much else of a reason. So after the last boss, the serotonin just immediately ceased production in my brain. And not in the sense of slowly but surely, I mean immediate shutdown of production for playing the game. And of course, afterwards, the game come up with a shit ton of new updates like the Halloween update, which stinks because it seemed cool, but again, I really had no reason to return until now just to make this one video. The new Relics update did make this more enjoyable as it added so much more story and stuff, but I expect my enjoyment to crash out again after I beat it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like that, please like and subscribe, as I would really like to grow this channel. And see you next time!